Aloha from the 2019 Hawaii Tax Institute. My name is Roberta Ruddy, and I'm a Senior Wealth Advisor with Wilmington Trust. I'm so delighted to have today Alvina Lowe, who's the Chief Wealth Strategist for Wilmington Trust out of New York City, and Joe Field. Joe is the Senior Counsel at Pillsbury in New York and is the lead international estate attorney. Joe, welcome. Given some of the cultural differences and legitimate fears that people have about discussing their wealth and their holdings, how do you find dealing with non-U.S. clients?
It used to be that people would not easily volunteer their identities. Getting a passport out of somebody or some form of description of who they are, what they are, and where their wealth came from was very difficult. They just didn't want to do it. Today, they're used to it. If you want to do anything outside your home country, you're going to need to prove who you are. The banking system has changed very dramatically so that if you want to open a bank account, you're going to have to do KYC. You're going to have to identify who you are, know your client, what is the source of funds. These are terms that everybody deals with today.
How comfortable are your clients with you dealing with their home country advisors?
Well, it's unfortunately just something that has to be done. And quite often people will hire a local lawyer in a town they go to somewhere in the U.S., and they deal with very competent lawyers who haven't got a clue as to what the rules may be in the home country. And a very simple example is people coming from civil law countries, and you have to worry about things like forced heirship. Do children have inchoate rights to property at death? And of course, the laws in many countries are parallel to those in the United States, but they're different. And when you're dealing with people from various parts of the world, they may speak better English than you do. But the thought process is very, very different quite often. So you need to take that into account.
One of the things that we were talking about earlier in the conference is this trap of those who are kind of accidental U.S. citizens.
The rule today is that if you have an American parent, say a mother, who was born in the United States and lived there for 5 years, 2 of which were above the age of 14, that all of her children are born American citizens. They're not entitled to get passports, and they're not entitled to go to the embassy to register. They're as American as I am. And there are 15 million people out there that have no idea that they're American citizens. And they're not filing tax returns, and they're not filing FBARs, and they're not filing 3520 forms. And these are part of the technical commitments you make as an American, and a lot of these people need to begin to worry about that, particularly if they're going to be coming to the United States.
Have you had clients going into the old OVDP, the Offshore Voluntary Disclosure Program?
Oh, we've had a number, and I think particularly for these accidental Americans, there is an opportunity out there to come in from the cold at a pretty reasonable cost. You won't be charged penalties, you probably can avoid interest, and they only go back for a few years. And I think this is a sort of unstated way that the U.S. government says, please come home. And I think it's a good system, and people should do it, because the longer they wait, the worse the consequences can be.